Hey everyone, Ryan Young. I'm a Jiu-Jitsu. I hope you're doing well. So tonight, I'm gonna answer a question, and it's on a video that I did a while back. I wanna say back in September of last year. So here we are in May of 2019. So we're talking about 6 months ago, 7 months ago. This video was called Body Types Don't Prevent You from Doing Jiu-Jitsu. And that's from the Kama vlog, in case you're kind of wondering how Rusty has it sorted out. And the question is from Fantasy Football Talk. And he asked, when starting out, would you, with the understanding that at some point everything has to be focused on to improve your game, my game, whatever. Number one, do you focus on everything equally? Two, focus on the concepts that have the largest windows of opportunity. So if you have questions on what this is, I'll summarize in a second. And the last is focus on the concepts that have the smallest windows of opportunity. So the example that I used in that particular video, what I was talking about was a triangle, and how for me doing triangles, I do them, but when I do them, my window of opportunity to execute it is very small. I don't have a lot of time. I have to really be looking for a triangle. I can't really happen into one. I have to be really trying to set one up. And then even when I'm setting it up and maneuvering my opponent and myself to get one, I need to have that one window of opportunity where I lock on and it's on. And once I lock on, if I get it perfect, it's over because it's so tight in there because my legs are so short. Whereas somebody who's got a lot longer legs than I am, so in our height, for instance, in the human body, a lot of our height difference is in our legs. So somebody who's maybe 5'10" versus somebody who's 5'5", their difference in height really lies in the difference in leg length. Maybe 4 inches of that 5-inch difference might be in leg length, whereas only 1 inch might be from the torso up to the top of the head. So that person who's 5'10" will have longer legs, theoretically speaking, than somebody like me, for instance. And their opportunity to get a triangle, their window will be much larger. So they can lock on and they can allow for some wiggle room on their opponent and then tighten up so they can get it done. Whereas with me, if I don't have that perfect setup and perfect lock, I'm not gonna get it. I'm gonna have to give it up at some point. What fantasy football is asking is, as a beginner, what should you focus on? The moves with the largest windows of opportunity, the ones with the smallest windows of opportunity, or everything? Well, here's how I would do it. A couple of things. Number one is I'd look at everything first, and I just start doing things in order. So linear conveyor belt thinking, right? Stuff, lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3. And I would try to get myself to a proficient level on each one. Only that way will you find out what your particular concepts are with a large window of opportunity or the ones with a small window of opportunity for you. So you don't know really. So in other words, if you're a beginner, you don't know. You may have long legs, but you may not have the type of flexibility, or your body may not move in the way that's needed to set one up correctly. So in that case, you may have long legs, but you may not be able to move correctly, or your legs may not be able to position well so you can do a triangle. So for you, a triangle may not work. On the other hand, you could be just that typical person who does very well with a triangle. But you don't know until you try it. So go through your curriculum, learn everything in the order that you're supposed to learn it, and you'll find that something is easier for you to execute. You could be very good at submitting people from a regular cross-collar choke from the guard, more so than maybe from the mount. Maybe you're able to hold somebody in guard easier than than holding somebody in mount. But you won't know until you actually go through the steps and learn it correctly and properly and spend the right amount of time on it. From white to blue as a beginner, and even from blue to purple, there's no reason to specialize in anything. You'll find that you tend to be better, or something may be more comfortable for you, one concept versus another. So as we talked about in some other videos, if that is your situation where you tend to be more comfortable doing something than something else, at the white to blue belt level or the blue to purple belt level, you should probably spend less time on doing what you're comfortable at and more time with what you're uncomfortable with. Now, this is assuming these are all basic concepts. So if we're looking at it at my other video with regard to the 80-20 rule and the Pareto principle, these are the 20% techniques, the 20% that produce 80% of your results. or the 10% in the Pareto principle concept, the 10% that produce 50% of your results, of your successful results, right? So that would mean that something like, if you play guard, playing a De La Riva and trying to figure out how to sweep people from a De La Riva versus doing a simple scissor sweep from a closed guard, right? Closed guard that you set up, you open up, go to scissor, and you scissor them out. The scissor sweep, starting from the closed guard, is a much higher percentage concept, that you'll be successful at it, than is a De La Riva. Simple as that. Now, people may say, well, people may argue with me, that's fine, I don't care. But in the De La Riva may have a lot of options that you can go by. From here, from the De La Riva, I can set up Deribolo, I can invert, I can do this, I can go reverse De La Riva, I can go, there's all kind of stuff. The fact of the matter is that a simple scissor sweep is much easier to execute than is a De La Riva sweep. Part of the reason is because you have control of your opponent's hips, whereas when you do a De La Riva, you don't have control of their hips, you have control of their leg. So it's all about control, and if you have control of more of the opponent's body, what you're trying to do will be of a higher percentage, therefore being one of those fundamental concepts that you need to pay attention to and you need to spend more time working on. So if you want to work on stuff out on the tertiary, out on the edges, you're welcome to, but I'm just telling you that the stuff that you're working at the core of Jiu-Jitsu, if you deviate from working on the core and work out on the edges here, you won't be as good. You won't be as successful. Because when I talk about advanced, now we're heading to another video. So I'm referring to a lot of videos. So if you haven't watched a lot of our videos, go back and look into them and look into the advanced versus the basic concepts. Your basic concepts are those that are as close to universal as possible and that you can execute with very little knowledge. The difference between somebody who executes with very little knowledge and somebody with a lot of knowledge is the person with a lot of knowledge executes it cleaner, faster, with much fewer errors. On the other hand, a technique that is an advanced technique is only an advanced technique because it takes somebody who's advanced to be able to do it. Certain techniques cannot be really done by beginners successfully because they don't have an understanding of Jiu-Jitsu, they don't have an understanding of the body mechanics, they don't have an understanding of the angles and the positioning and the weight distribution, the connection, and all the invisible stuff that we like to talk about. So if you focus on the basic fundamental stuff, you will definitely be better. So if you're a beginner and you're of the different body types, you could be a mesomorph, meaning you're just athletic and muscular. You could be an ectomorph, meaning long and lean and very lightweight, for instance, one of those where you're 6'3" and you weigh $170, right? Or you could be a mesomorph, where you're maybe 6 foot and you weigh 260 pounds, right? But you're strong as an ox, or an endomorph, excuse me, if you're an endomorph. It doesn't really matter. But what you don't want to do is you don't want to fall into the trap of doing typical things that an endomorph will do, typical things that a mesomorph will do, and typical things that an ectomorph will do, right? You want to do them all. Now, if you think of our purple belts here at the studio here in Texas, I've got one who's a straight A2. He's about 5'7", 5'8", weighs about $170. I've got an A2H who's about 5'7", 5'8", but more muscular and weighs about 200 pounds. And I've got an A3 who is about maybe 6 foot and 5'11", 6 foot, and he weighs about 215, right? And I've got one who's more of an ectomorph who's about 5'10" and weighs about 170, right? They're all different. They all know the same things, but some, because of their body type, might be more successful at one concept versus another. They also have different levels of flexibility, but they all know the same things. They all can teach the same things, and they teach it the same way, but their success level with one versus another may be different because the one who's the classic A2, 5'7", 170, will have a different window of opportunity for one particular thing versus the one who's 6 foot and 215 or 220, right? Or versus the one who's the ectomorph, who's got a lot of flexibility in his legs, right? And who's really worked on the flexibility, right? Some of them are more flexible than others, some of them are stronger than others, and obviously they're heavier. Different body types, different windows of opportunities as well, but yet they all know the same things. So if that kind of gives you an explanation. I hope it worked for you. That's really all I can kind of give you right now. So, but focus on everything. Now that they're purple belts, I'm letting them kind of play around more with certain things, but they all know the same things. It's just one might go a little deeper into maybe back attacks. Another may go a little deeper into north-south chokes. Another may go deeper into modified KAATARO attacks. But they all know the same things. They just have different windows of opportunities. But they also know that whatever they have the biggest window of opportunity on, that's what they need to probably work less on for now and try to shore up their abilities on the other concepts where they have smaller windows of opportunities, because the ones that have small windows of opportunities, you want to find every way possible to expand that window of opportunity. And that could be just from practicing it more often, getting your body moving to the correct angle with more precise movements, which will then more virtually guarantee that you will get it when you want it. I hope that answers your question. And if it doesn't, go ahead and comment this video below, and then I can try to see if I can get a little more detail into it if you kind of point me in the direction you're thinking. Now, I want to thank you guys for subscribing to our videos, for hitting that bell, and also for liking it and for sharing it. Most important, sharing, because the more sharing you do, the more people that see the videos, the more attention we get, and the more videos we can produce for you. As my time is starting to get a little bit shorter in various things I'm doing now, I'm starting to find that it's a little more challenge for me to just find some time to set aside to do a video for you guys, but I'm trying. Also, thank you for engaging with us too. Thank you for your comments. And if we think of Pareto principle, the square root of, every 100 people, I'll have 10 people that comment. And most of those comments are great comments, and I appreciate all the feedback you have. And for that small number that's a negative comment, that's fine, because that also helps the video as well. So anyway, don't forget to hit the links if you want to help the channel out. The links in the notes below. One of my students was not sure how to find them, and you just go ahead and click the arrow that says View More, and you'll be able to see it all. And we've got links for KAATARO belts. We've got links for the Rickson GRACIE'S Self-Defense Unit. Also, we've got links for Dave Kama's Patreon channel, which has been seeing several more subscribers come on because they want to see the concepts that we're doing. A lot of these invisible concepts, people didn't even know existed. And on Dave Kama's Patreon channel, most people have never seen before. And they've heard about it, through various links or comments that other people have made about Rickson GRACIE'S Invisible Jiu-Jitsu. As weird as it sounds, it is kind of gimmicky and it is kind of hokey if you think about it, but that's really the best way to describe Rickson GRACIE'S Jiu-Jitsu concepts. It's you're in a position, you could be under cross-side, or as some people call side control. You could be under cross-side, but when you have an invisible concept put on you, to everybody outside looking at you, it looks the same. But you underneath it, you feel, something is different here. It's just something that needs to be felt. Now, it's very hard to teach a feel concept on video, but I think Dave does a really good job explaining how a lot of this works. Now, it's always better if we can be in person with you, but unfortunately, it's hard for us to be in person with you teaching you. So anyway, go and visit that site, and if it works for you, then it helps the channel out as well, and it helps us to keep delivering content to you. Anyway, that's all I got for you. Take care and happy trading. Bye-bye now.